There is this new altcoin chart that I would like to show in this video that potentially completely the way for me how to invest in crypto. I have not been too bullish on altcoins and so far it played out perfectly. But I think it is time to change something a little bit. So welcome to the Fomo Factory. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I'm here every day. Turn the bell notification on, like it now you're at it, and let's get right into it. So about altcoins, it's what people rather hear most about, right? Because Bitcoin, it's nice. If you were early, you would have made a lot of money, but you're not going to make 100x probably in the next bull market by just holding Bitcoin. It's completely about your strategy. Know when to be in Bitcoin, know when to be in stables, and know when to be in altcoins and how to shift it actually. It's not just about being in Bitcoin or just being into the risky altcoins that may do 100x or may wreck you. If you have the right strategy, you don't need to get wrecked to make 100x anyway. But you want to have a fair chart that shows you exactly how the altcoin market is looking at. So what I would like to say already is what we have spoke about a lot on this channel is that altcoins are not worth it against Bitcoin. Bitcoin is of course safer, but it also goes up more in this period of the market. Now that's exactly what we have seen. Bitcoin has been doing fantastic in this complete year basically, but we see that also the Bitcoin dominance has been doing fantastic as well, which means that altcoins are going down on their Bitcoin pair. Now, if you take a look at the altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair, you see that we have been going down. Now, recently I did say like, hey guys, I think this could have a short, medium term bounce right here. So I converted some Bitcoin into altcoins and yeah, so far so good. We'll see how far this could go. Maybe this is just it. Maybe this is it and we now break and go way lower. Overall, I expect that altcoins will go down hard on the Bitcoin pair. And I think the final crash is going to happen once the ETF is getting approved. Why is that? Well, because it's a Bitcoin ETF, it's not an altcoin ETF, of course. And two, we have seen what happened when we got the fake ETF news. You've seen that the Bitcoin dominance was mooning on that news and it actually sustained that level. So I feel like, man, once we really get the ETF, yeah, you know, the big institutions are not going to step into altcoins, at least maybe Ethereum or some big altcoins, but not in the risky altcoin market. They're mostly going to step into Bitcoin. Therefore, the dominance could shoot up way more and takes it to the final level where I think we might go between 57 and around 61%, give or take. So that's still a wide range, but yeah, I can't know exactly, of course. But I will be, let me put it like this, extremely surprised if we do not get here. Like it's kind of written on the wall that we will get there. Therefore, I've been a big proponent of just buying Bitcoin, DCAing into Bitcoin. In the meantime, made some good money on that. And at a certain point, man, even now you can convert that Bitcoin into altcoins at the actual bottom, basically, right? If you again look at this chart, yeah, we are now kind of sitting at the bottom. We are up from the actual bottom with like, yeah, 5% or so. So it's like you can buy the bottom as far as you want to time the bottom, of course. But more about altcoins, because what do you, if you invest in altcoins, it's so important to, you know, look at the charts and not only at the Bitcoin dominance, because of course that shows how Bitcoin, how Bitcoin performs against altcoins. But what is a fair altcoin chart to take a look at, and how does the altcoin market really looks like? Well, a lot of people could argue that we can take a look at the total 2, and the total 3. So what it means, and this is if you invest in crypto, you have to know this. The total is the total crypto market, everything that you can think of in crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, stables, everything. The total 2 is the same except Bitcoin. Right, so if you look at these charts, you can already make something out of that, right? Because the complete crypto market went up from the bottom until where we are right now, 73%. If you take that same crypto market, but you take Bitcoin away, then you see that it only went up 35%. So That of course shows you like, hey, if it wasn't for Bitcoin, the market hasn't pumped that much, right? So, and that shows in the Bitcoin dominance. And if you take all these charts and they line up together, you can make something out of that and make very good investments, right? And then there's the total three, and that's everything except Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right, so and yes, Ethereum is technically also an altcoin, but it's considered blue chip together with Bitcoin, really. Right, so that's a total three, and a lot of people, I think, they look at the total three, and it depends how you can also draw it like this. It's like I don't know, but a lot of people they look at the total three and they be like, hey, this is the altcoin market, so this is how it looks like. And they might say like, yeah, it's been making low highs, but it's also been making high lows, so the altcoin market looks bullish. You can say that. However, are stables really something you want to invest in? If you take this same chart, so the total three, but you exclude at least USDT, the biggest stable coin, then the chart looks like this. All right, and let me remove this so you can have a better view on this. So then it looks like this. Then you can see, hey, the altcoin market, high, low, high, low, high, low, 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 low. And look how quite perfectly it got rejected from this trend line right here. Okay, so that's already a more fair view of the altcoin market. But there is another way of looking at the altcoin market, because how is this defined? Well, TradingView, when it comes to total, they take the top 125 coins. Why the top 125? Well, I think, let me show you. If you look at the market caps of these coins, 85 billion, 675 billion. But if you scroll 2 times, you're already sitting at 1 billion. If you scroll a couple of times, you're sitting already at 500 million. So if we go to 125, that's how far it's all added into TradingView. That's Illuvium right now. You see it's 300 million already. And if you scroll more, you will find basically low caps. 100 million, officially it's considered low cap, right? But let's call it mid-low. But this is all together, it's actually not that much if you think about it. I mean, you have to realize that Bitcoin dominance, according to CoinGecko, is 50%. So only Bitcoin is already half of everything else, including Ethereum, which is basically almost half of Bitcoin. Plus Tether. So can you imagine how low the coins in total are outside of the 100 and top 125? So, but that's the total three. Okay, but now there is also a chart, and there I actually am quite more bullish on a chart that shows a little something else, and that chart is called Others. At the beginning of the video, I said it's a new chart. It's not that new, but it's new for me. But Others shows the top 125 as well, excluding the top 10. So no Bitcoin, no Ethereum, but also no Tether, but also not the big altcoins. Okay, so if you look at the top 10, that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, XRP, USDC, Solana, Ether, against Lido staked Ether, Cardano, and Dogecoin, because these coins make up for almost everything in the complete crypto market already, right? We have 600, like this is basically 900 billion, a trillion, like this is really a lot. And the total market is 1.33 trillion. So you can imagine that the top 10 dominates crypto market completely. Well, what if we take these away? Then we get Others, and then you basically get a pretty fair view of the altcoin market. Now, I want to show you how that's looking like. So this is Others, and this is looking quite different than, for example, the total 3 minus USDT. As you can see, for example, the total 3 minus USDT is still in a downtrend, right? But the Others chart broke that downtrend in July and really started to get bullish halfway October. So like we're now in the third week, so like 2 weeks ago. Also, if you look at the bull market support band, then you will notice that I don't have it right here. 1 second. Here I have the bull market support band. And as you can see, we broke above the bull market support band in July, but we weren't really doing anything, right? And then we came across this diagonal and we broke that to the upside. And now the altcoin market is really starting to show some strength. So that's one. That's already pretty bullish. And again, this doesn't go for the coins outside of the top 125. But again, these coins, like, I think that TradingView doesn't track those because it doesn't add up at least to anything, basically. It's just not much. So this is how the actual altcoin market is looking like. Well, once I saw this, I'm a little more bullish on altcoins on their dollar pair. All right. But I've not been making content about that. Sometimes I get these comments like, oh, you missed the bottom, or now you're bullish, or whatever. But I have never really spoke about altcoins on the dollar pair. I've mostly spoke about altcoins on the Bitcoin pair. And if you look at that, they went down pretty hard, right? So we did a good job over there, I think. And I'm pretty happy with how that played out because, you know, I've Bitcoin, I've prepared with stacking Bitcoin. And yeah, as you can see, the altcoin market, it dropped 58% against Bitcoin. So I can get altcoins overall 58% cheaper than before. And that's not bad, right? And of course, yeah, it could still fall like with 25-40% or so. That's the big accumulation phase. But I think we are now already sitting at a pretty decent level. But others, this is the most interesting chart that I actually came across in a long time. So you could actually see that the trend is up, right? There's a good upwards trend right here, and it depends a little on how you draw it. You can draw it like this, right? We have a little fake out right here, but we have a lot of support right here. And we broke this thing to the upside, and we are above the bull market support band. So that looks quite good. However, I do want to take a look at the range because it is now sitting actually quite at the top of the range. So let's take a look at how this thing could move. Because if I look at this, I'll be like, okay, we had resistance here, we had resistance here, we had a lot of resistance here, right? And we had this closing right here. We had some support over here as well, right? Here, yeah, something in that area, but not much, okay? But this is kind of the range, okay, cool. That's the top side of the range. Now, what's the lower side of the range? At least this. And you can draw it all the way down here because we had this wick, but will we come back there? Maybe, I don't know. It's twice as low, right? So it's a lot lower. But I think that this is kind of the range that we have been in most. As you can see, we broke down in November and we got back up in January. So we stayed below this for 2 months. That's where the altcoin market really got wrecked. And we had another chance in June, basically, where the altcoin market really got wrecked as well. Will it get wrecked again? Yeah, I mean, why not? It happened twice already in a year, right? So it could still happen, but the overall range is kind of here right now. I do want to take a look like, hey, yeah, like it also makes sense if you put it like this or well, whatever, kind of around here, right? So we are now basically sitting at the top of the range. Okay, so if this is a fair representation of the altcoin market right now on the dollar pair, what I would like to see for the bulls is this thing to clearly break out. It's now kind of flirting with it like, okay, have we broke out and is it now resistance or support, or are we now facing it as resistance? What is it actually, right? It's quite undecided. It's doing the same as that it did over here and over here and over, well, here we did break out. But we had the bull market support band against us. That's at least now not a problem anymore. So I do think that with the first confirmed breakout, we could say like, okay, things are turning a little bit more bullish. Doesn't mean we can't have pullbacks, but we're setting the bar higher at least. Can we go back to the lower side of the range? Yeah, definitely. And that's like a, what is it, 30% drop or so, 27% drop, give or take, right? 27, 30%. So could that still happen? Does it mean that your, I don't know, your AVAX is going from $11 to let's say $8? Yeah, definitely, definitely. The reason that, and it could still crash very hard, of course, right? The reason for that is, I mean, what's the reason that altcoins went up? It's because Bitcoin went up crazy hard, right? And even though altcoins went down on their Bitcoin pair, because this is the Bitcoin dominance, altcoins did okay on their dollar pair because Bitcoin's movement was harder than the Bitcoin dominance moved. So therefore, altcoins went up, but not as much as Bitcoin, overall at least, right? There are, of course, outperformers, but overall, Bitcoin was the clear winner so far. Now, I do look at this chart and it looks, the trend is bullish, although I think that this resistance, and we got a clear rejection so far from it as well, so the line is not sitting there for no reason. So I do feel like, okay, how long does Bitcoin maintain to stay at this level? I'm not quite sure about that. I think that around 30K is a level that we should absolutely revisit. I'm quite confident that that will happen at least, and that's the first target. But if I look at last cycle, you see as well, you know, Bitcoin did a 4x, where we now did a 2x, right? And it still came down 70%. 70. And I said this before, like, yeah, it was because of COVID. Like, yeah, there was a black swan. Who says we can't get a black swan right now? But if you calculate that in, then it's never a good time to buy. I get that. So, but even without a black swan, we already came down from the top to here with 52%. Yeah, I said this before, like, if Bitcoin goes down 52%, so that's excluding COVID, that was just a normal move, right? If it would have gone down 50%, 52, it will put Bitcoin at 16.3K. 16.3K, right? And I know what you think, like, yeah, we get an ETF or multiple ETFs, and what could be the reason for it, right? Well, I don't know, a recession, a fucking stock market seasonal crash, things that happened in this cycle and this cycle also went down 50%. There's always a reason, right? I'm not saying it will, but don't rule it out, right? So that's the thing. That could be disastrous for altcoins. Why do I say that? Well, because if you look at altcoins on their Bitcoin pair, and you overlay Bitcoin with this is super interesting, if you ask me, to see, right? Bitcoin here was sitting at 16, 15, 16K, right? But altcoins were doing okay, because the Bitcoin, because altcoins on their Bitcoin pair were just holding up. But now what we see is that altcoins on their Bitcoin pair got completely wrecked over the last year. But on the dollar pair, you haven't seen that yet because Bitcoin went up. So that compensates, right? But now it all depends on Bitcoin. Because what if now Bitcoin goes down while altcoins on their Bitcoin pair are also down? That could lead to altcoin prices that we haven't seen before, right? And again, I'm not saying it will happen, but it did happen last time, and so far we are kind of following the same thing. So I am quite cautious. So if you're an altcoin bull, what you do not want to see is that Bitcoin goes down while the dominance stays up. That would destroy altcoins, destroy it. That's really not what you want to see. So the dominance to go to stay up while Bitcoin goes down. Now, if you look here, for example, last cycle, Bitcoin went from, well, it was actually 14K to 4K. Bitcoin dropped quite heavily, while the dominance stayed relatively high, right? The dominance was when Bitcoin was sitting at this level right here, right? The dominance was sitting here. Okay, but Bitcoin in the meantime, it did nothing, but the dominance went up. So it takes away the liquidity from the altcoin market. And that period of September 2019 or so, let's take a look at the total 3, September 2019. Yeah, you see it right here. That was the drop in the total 3, for example. That took it from 100 billion to 26. Right, that was a disastrous drop. If you exclude USDT, you can see it took it from 100 billion to 22. So if you exclude stables, yeah, then of course it's worse because stables didn't went down, right? Let's take a look at what others, how that's looking like back then. There it went from 25 billion to 6. All right, so that's what happened last time. Altcoins dropped 73%. 73. That's in the face of the market that's still ahead of us, right? This happened over the course of end 2019, begin 2020. So that lines up with the 4-year cycle of end 2023, beginning 2024. So don't get it wrong. I'm not saying it will happen, but I am saying like, hey, I remain cautious until this period is over, because the market loves to take people by surprise. When everything is starting to look bullish again, it completely wipes you out. And I've been there before, and I know it's hard that if you look at the sentiment at this moment, a lot of people are bullish. They talk about altcoins, great, and and this chart, it looks good. It looks good so far, but how fucking good did it look over here, and what happened after, right? I am at least prepared with a part of my portfolio that this might play out, something like this. Not exactly 70%, but even 50 or 60 is horrible. Right? That's horrible. It doesn't mean that your portfolio goes down 50%. Could be way more. Depends on what altcoins you are in, right? If you're in the risky stuff, like the lower side of the top 125, or even outside of that, then you're going to get destroyed. Then you're going to get destroyed because these don't have as much liquidity as the Solanas or the Ethereums have, right? So I am cautious. And what confirms it for me, it's basically the halving, man. It sounds cliche, but so far, every time we got the halving, after that, we mooned. So who am I to say, like, this time after the halving, we're gonna fucking tank all the way down? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, that's cold coffee. God fucking damn it. If you look at the dominance of the others chart, also quite interesting. So how much are the others, like outside of the top 10, dominating the crypto space? It used to be like 20%. Now it's more like 11. It went all the way down to 7. So that's an interesting chart to see. And you can, by the way, let me take a look at. Yeah, this is quite beautiful. Look at this trend. And I think you can take it back through here. Here we go. Wait 1 sec. Let me fix it. Make it quite perfect. Well, give or take. Right? What you see is that the dominance of the altcoins found resistance all the way in 2014. Right? Again, in 2016. We broke. That's where Ethereum really came into the game, right? So all the ERC20 tokens and all of that, they got the hype, right? And altcoins were really a thing then. So ever since, we are above that. And in the bear markets, we always came down, of course. 2019, we found perfect support. In 2021, we found, 2021, we found perfect support again. And we just found perfect support in June. Now we're still above it. Could we ever find that support again? Of course we can. Of course we can, right? This chart is like quite perfect. And we might be able to draw this. Let me take a look if this is actually something. Oh my God, look at this. Yeah. So look at this parallel channel, how it's running. So you can, of course, say like, hey, other altcoins over time, over the long run, and I'm talking about 2-3 cycles, are dominating the space more and more and more, right? In the bull markets, we do really well. In the bear markets, it completely sucks, of course. In the bull markets, we do really well. And it's funny because we topped out with the bull market end of 2021, November. But the altcoin market topped out in January, right? As you can see right here, that's how much money was sitting in altcoins back then, while actually the Bitcoin run was over by here. So it shows again that Bitcoin first runs and then altcoins run. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. I do think that if you want to buy altcoins with your dollars, that you definitely should take a look at this chart. So on your trading view, just type others, that's it, others. There you have it. And the others dominance. It's a really important one. Take a look at these charts. If you want to buy altcoins with your Bitcoin, yeah, then if you took the same approach I did, then you can now have a pretty decent entry. But I still think we can go down way more, like we did over here as well. We found the bottom, we bounced, found the bottom, had a little bounce, and then broke it. So here we found the bottom, bounce, found the bottom, maybe a little bounce, break it, down, accumulation phase, and then altcoin season like a fucking lunatic. And if you look at others on their Bitcoin pair, also quite an interesting chart. You can see that altcoins on their Bitcoin pair outside of the top 10, yeah, also have been bleeding hard against Bitcoin since beginning 2022, basically. So kind of ever since the bear market started. And yeah, alts on their BTC pair. If we take this wick away, this fucking wick, piece of shit wick right there, does it make sense? Well, give or take, right? So you can see that over a long time, the good altcoins, they stand a chance against Bitcoin. Definitely. It's really a matter of like timing. And I'm not saying try to time the bottom, but I mean like, yeah, if you are bullish on altcoins here, yeah, that's maybe not so smart. If you're bullish on altcoins now, bro, I'm not blaming you. I think it's super smart to be bullish on good quality altcoins right now. Is it worth the risk against Bitcoin? Yeah, it depends, right? Like so far we have said no, and so far it played out pretty well, right? If you do not want to try to time the bottom or really don't give a fuck about the bottom range, then yeah, it's not bad right now. But to be a little more specific, I still can now look at the others chart and be like, hey, you know, if this is the range right here, and we can maybe draw another range around this area, right? So we can maybe take it like this. So this is the mid-range, but we are now really sitting at the top of the range, right? We're not really sitting at the top. So I do feel like buying altcoins now on the dollar pair, you can, right? I mean, you do whatever you want to do. I don't really feel comfortable by doing so. And please don't come at me like, yeah, look, you missed out. You could have bought over here or here, right? I've been buying Bitcoin, and Bitcoin went up more than the altcoin chart. So in that case, I totally, luckily, didn't miss out. And now, like I said, we can buy the bottom. So that's my strategy, right? Buying Bitcoin, let it go up, then convert it into altcoins and let them go up. Like that's kind of how you ride two bull markets. And yeah, then you're really compounding your gains. But if you really want to buy altcoins with your stables directly, then I would say like, okay, do take a look at this range. Oh, look how perfectly this lines up, by the way. I haven't even seen that. It's like beautiful, right? So the lower side of the range, fuck yeah, that's a perfect, like if it ever comes here, I'm going heavy in. I'm heavily going in. But now at this top side of the range, like you can also draw it like this. But this area here, I'd be a little careful still. I'd be a little careful. It might break out this time though, but at least wait for the confirmation to break out, retest, and then go up by the retest. You buy at the same level as here, but you don't have the risk of being buying the resistance, but support. Like that's easy, right? Yeah, I want to wrap it up right here. Guys, if you are interested in more exclusive content following some influencer wallets like Alex Becker, for example, check out the Patreon. We got them wallets, motherfucker. So we can check out what these guys are buying, but also NFT calls, podcast, a lot of interesting stuff. So definitely check it out. There's a link down below. Please like the video if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I'll see you guys very soon.